Magandang umaga sa ating panauhin sa umagang ito. Secretary Maria Esperanza Christina Garcia Frasco. Magandang umaga. Magandang umaga sa iyo.
Mayong buntag, magandang umaga sa inyo po and sa lahat ng ating audience and the members of the media who are here.
Napakahalaga ng papel na ginagampanan ng turismo sa anumang bansa. At mapalad tayo dito sa Pilipinas, meron tayong kalihim ng Department of Tourism sa pangunguna ni Secretary Frasco na talagang napagbuti ang turismo dito sa ating bansa. And just to emphasize the importance of tourism in our country, in Southeast Asia, Philippine tourism has contributed the biggest share in the country's gross domestic product. Among Southeast Asian countries, ang pinakamalaking kontribusyon sa GDP ay ang Philippine tourism. Napakahalaga nun, no? About 4.31 trillion pesos or about 78 billion US dollars. Can you imagine that? You know? In Southeast Asia, we've always heard of Thailand and Malaysia and other countries. Pero, ang Pilipinas, as a matter of fact, yun ang Philippine tourism, ang comparatively, ay pinakamalaking contribution sa economy ng ating bansa. In ASEAN, ako na magsasabi nito kasi pagka ibang tao magsasabi at DOT magsasabi para bang, breast beating. But for the information of our colleagues in the mass media, kung bubuin yung ASEAN gross domestic product, ang pinakamalaking pa ring share na contribution sa ASEAN GDP ay ang Pilipinas compared to other countries. And all of this have become possible because we have a leader in the person of Secretary Frasco. Congratulations, Secretary. Paano mo nagawa itong lahat ng ito? Because all this happened in the recent years when you took over the Department of Tourism. Ano ba yung sikreto? Marami pa akong sanang sasabihin eh. Maraming awards na natanggap, ikaw ay maraming posisyon na hinawakan, hindi lang dito sa ating bansa, kundi globally. But ano yung secret na dinala mo sa DOT at ganito ang nangyayari sa turismo sa Pilipinas?
Thank you for starting this morning with such wonderful news that reflects the robust performance of Philippine tourism. I'm very honored to be here and very happy that Philippine tourism has really elevated its status in Southeast Asia. The President, from the very beginning of his administration, clearly articulated to the nation that tourism is a priority. And with that, he rallied the government agencies from national to local, as well as the private stakeholders to come together to address the challenges that confronted the industry, especially and immediately after the pandemic. In bringing me in, a former mayor in Cebu, whose main economic driver is tourism, the President was very clear in his directive that we need to be able to strengthen the foundation of Philippine tourism if we are to be competitive in the ASEAN and globally competitive. And that is why we rolled up our sleeves and did a proper due diligence, first and foremost, to try to examine the pillars of tourism that needed intervention in the short term, in the medium term, and in the long term. And the most prominent intervention we found was infrastructure. Our roads that lead to our tourist destinations, our airports that receive our tourists, our seaports that connect our islands across the country. With that, we crafted the National Tourism Development Plan from 2023 to 2028, the primary objective of which was to introduce infrastructure, connectivity, and digitalization into the tourism landscape. This is followed by a focus on ensuring that we enhance the entire tourism experience. Because what we've learned from the pandemic experience, from global trends as well for travelers post-pandemic, is that people are seeking positive experiences. People are willing to spend more and to stay longer if we are able to provide them with a convenient and comfortable journey and one that brings value to them as travelers. So enhancing the overall tourism experience also became our one of our main focus. In addition to this, the President wanted that we introduce the Philippines to the world, not only from the lens of fun and adventure, of which we are very strong, but also, most importantly, from the strength of our identity as Filipinos. That is very well manifested in our culture. Our food, our festivals, our songs, our dances, the stories of the communities that we have all over the country that have not yet been fully told to the world. So then we crafted programs that focused on opening up the eyes of our travelers and our tourism stakeholders that there are offerings in the country, in our popular destinations and in our emerging destinations, that can be diversified. And diversification, of course, leads to more markets, new markets, and more spending from our tourists. So it's been this focus on basic development and this recalibration of the value proposition of Philippine tourism, which we at the Department of Tourism believe has given Philippine tourism an edge.
Well, tourism, Secretary, means jobs. And in 2023, 9 million Filipinos were employed in the tourism sector, and that's about 18.7 million of our percent of our total employment. Again, kudos to the Department of Tourism, and because of your initiatives, of your leadership in the Department of Tourism. Recently, the country again was put on a spotlight because the country achieved several awards in the recently held World Travel Awards. Can you imagine garnering so many accolades, leading Asia's leading dive destination, Asia's leading beach destination, Asia's leading island destination, Asia's leading wedding destination, that's Cebu, the best campaign, Love the Philippines, and there are other awards. There are so many, I could not remember all of them. And Secretary, 2019 was supposed to be the banner year in Philippine tourism. As far as the hotels were concerned, 2019 registered one, if not the highest revenue as far as revenue is concerned. But Philippine tourism has surpassed the 2019 receipts already. Will there be more? I mean, as far as tourist arrivals is concerned, international tourist arrivals, will we hit more than 8 million? Kasi ang target nyo lang, 7.7 by the end of the year. But you are just short of the number. And many of the tourists come in the last quarter of the year. So what is your forecast, Secretary? Will you even surpass your target this year?
Well, San, first of all, thank you for informing our audience, our media, about the recent awards for the Philippines. We are very grateful for all the hard work that has been put in that's now being globally recognized. This is the product of collaboration among our government agencies, convergence with private tourism stakeholders, and really no less than blood, sweat, and tears, day and night, of confronting the challenges of Philippine tourism and trying to prevail while maintaining our deep sense of love of country and always trying to be authentic to our brand, to our nation, and our identity as a people. In terms of our numbers, I'm very glad that you mentioned visitor receipts because really, these are the numbers that matter. Our visitor receipts represent the money that comes into the coffers of our economy. It is the livelihood that continues to uplift the lives of our fellow Filipinos. Tourism receipts generate employment that feeds Filipino families. And therefore, the focus of the Department of Tourism has been how to allow our tourists to stay longer, and we're finding now that they do, from an average of 9 nights to now 11 nights, and how we can encourage our tourists to spend more. And we're finding now that they are, with our visitor receipts having had a recovery of over 111%, constituting over 3.36 trillion from 2023, and as of this year, surpassing our month-on-month visitor receipts comparative to 2019. Now, in terms of the visitor arrivals, we have pegged the arrivals for this year at 7.7 million from our international markets. However, we consider this a moving target. On one hand, we do have tailwinds in a sense that there is robust interest in our domestic tourism performance as well as from our markets all over the world. On the other hand, we do face headwinds, especially in terms of visa policies, entry into the country, which, comparative to our ASEAN neighbors, are not as liberal as we would want it to be. We do also have infrastructure challenges in that our airports are still currently in the process of improvement and PPP, and we very much welcome the President's initiative to speed up and to prioritize the expansion of our airports. And then we have the availability of seats coming into the country, where comparative to our ASEAN neighbors, we stand at around number 6 in terms of the number of seats. So, faced with these challenges, as well as a host of many other extraneous factors over which we don't have any control, we are being very realistic about the targets that have been set, and we are preparing for these challenges that we continue to handle. So I don't want to predict that we're going to exceed the target, only that we are working as hard as we can to ensure that we stay on the right track, especially in terms of the visitor receipts, for which we have already seen a 111% recovery.
Secretary, you see, beside this room is a gathering of Southeast Asian visitors in their resplendent costumes. Andyan, iba-iba. Andyan dyan. Tsaka lahat ng kwarto dito, mga function rooms dito, sa Manila Hotel, occupied occupied lahat. No? So, salamat sa inyong initiatives to bring more tourists to our country. Given all these limitations that you said, our airport still needs a lot of improvement. One time I mentioned that to you and you said this, hindi ko kasi jurisdiction pa yan eh. No? Pero, despite all these limitations, the number speaks for itself that the Department of Tourism is really doing its very best that to achieve higher goals despite all these limitations. Is being a lawyer and a local government official, a mayor for 3 terms of Liloan, Cebu, help you in attending to your task as a Department of Tourism Secretary? May advantage ba tayong mga abogado? At saka yung naging local government official. Ano yung itong background na ito na dala-dala mo, paano nakatulong ito sa iyo, sa iyong trabaho?
Being both a lawyer and a mayor has helped me immensely in navigating the task of being Secretary of Tourism. Well, first, I practiced law for nearly 10 years with Romulo Mabanta, and I handled commercial litigation and international arbitration. So this background helped me very much, especially in terms of having a deep appreciation for the necessity of ensuring that all government transactions that we engage in are absolutely in compliance with regulation and also advantageous to government. On the other hand, in terms of being mayor, the work of being on the ground, being with the people, being with the community, and understanding what it is that is needed by destinations to thrive has really been very helpful to me personally in identifying the priorities of the Department of Tourism and in exercising our mandate. I have made a very conscious effort to reach out as far as I can to our local government units across the country. Not just in words, but more in action. I make sure that I'm able to be on the ground as much as I can to see for myself what are the necessities of the destination that need government intervention, to talk to the mayors, the governors, the district representatives who have an intimate understanding of what their people are in need of and how we can come in to, not to impose our idea of how their destination should be developed, but rather to work with them, to align with their vision for their LGUs. Being a mayor has also helped me understand that the work of tourism does not merely involve promotion, but more importantly, basic development. Interventions in tourism development are absolutely essential and critical in order to be competitive. If you don't have the proper roads, if you don't have a working drainage system, if you don't have storm surge protection in your coastal destinations, if you don't introduce sustainability measures in tourism destinations, you cannot expect these destinations to thrive and to provide continuous livelihood to the communities. And so it's been this very local perspective that I have tried to bring to national government and which I believe has helped us craft meaningful programs that have a direct and immediate impact on the people. one concrete example is our construction of tourist rest areas all over the Philippines. The need for clean restrooms is very basic, yet it is often very neglected. And in fact, in a survey that was conducted among tourists going around the country, this was identified by them as their number one concern pertaining to Philippine tourism. So we didn't waste any time. We partnered with our attached agency, TIAZA, and our LGUs across the country, and we've already constructed 10 tourist rest areas with 22 more forthcoming. In fact, we recently broke ground in Iloilo, in the mountains of Iloilo, in Misamis Oriental, and next week I'll be in Sulu for another groundbreaking of a tourist rest area.
This is one of the last questions I'll ask. You are also your record as leader in Philippine tourism has not gone unnoticed. You're vice president of a United Nations General Assembly on tourism body. You are also chairman of an East Asia Pacific tourism body. You're a mother of four kids and young children. Oldest is 12 years old. The youngest is 3. You're married to a very active husband who is a congressman. How are you able to juggle all of this, Secretary Frasco, and still deliver the goods for the country?
With a lot of struggle and a lot of help from our team, my family. I feel very blessed that first, my family is very supportive. They have been with me throughout this transition, this journey. Even the moving to Manila has been quite a challenge, but they've been with me through thick and thin, including my immediate family as well, my mother, Governor Gwen. Our DOT family has really risen to the task, and I'm very glad that they see the value of the hard work that needs to be put in day and night in order to really allow tourism to thrive as much as it can. And so what we've done is really just to be very focused on all the directives of the president, as he does have a very deep sense of urgency in terms of executing our plans. And second, to ensure that we don't just talk about what we want to do, but rather that we execute projects and programs that are immediately felt by the people. I'm also very thankful that throughout this journey of being secretary, the Santo Niño has also really given us his grace and protection throughout.
Thank you, Secretary Frasco, for all those answers to the many questions that I asked you. Key takeaways, 2024 is a better, already, even if it's not yet over, is already a better year compared to 2019. Of course, higher already than 20, or closing in on the, despite the next 3 months and a half remaining for 2024, the signs are very good that 2024 will also be better than 2023. Tourism contribution to employment is outstanding at 18.7, if I'm not mistaken, of the total employment in the country. The contribution to the GDP, and I hope our members, the members of the media, take note of this, because this is no mean accomplishment. This is a big accomplishment. Very few countries have this kind of accomplishment as far as tourism is concerned. Its contribution to the gross domestic product. The Philippines is getting to be more known to as many people in the world as possible. These are the key takeaways that I'd like to emphasize, and hopefully members of the media will take note of this. And we have been recognized, we have been awarded so many things by prestigious organization like the World Travel Awards. So we'll open the floor now for questions from members of the media. Please come over here and just introduce yourself and your affiliation. Mention your affiliation.
Hi, good morning, Secretary. Bernard Ferrer, PTB4. Ma'am, in-announce na po ang Manila-Paris direct flight. Paano po ito pinaghahandaan ng Tourism Department, and paano rin po ito makakatulong sa international tourist arrival ng Pilipinas?
We welcome this very positive development that expands the connectivity of the Philippines to Paris and to the European Union. We are very grateful to the French Embassy and, of course, to the Department of Transportation, with whom we have also been working very hard in order that we would be able to attract more visitors from Europe to the country. We anticipate that this direct connectivity to the Philippines will further entice more tourists from Europe to come to the country and avail of our very popular tourism products with the European market. That include, of course, our award-winning beaches, our adventure offerings, and our dive tourism portfolio, since the Philippines has also been recently awarded as Asia's leading dive destination. And we now have 120 dive destinations across the country, and we're increasing diver safety by adding more hyperbaric chambers across our dive destinations. We anticipate as well that the entry of tourists from France, from Europe, will also entice our local tourism stakeholders to continue in this path of diversification, especially in terms of being able to offer experiential and purposeful travel that focuses on gastronomy, health and wellness, including as well our heritage, our culture, pilgrimage, and other aspects of tourism in the Philippines.
Ma'am, in terms of infrastructure, lalo na po sa mga airports, paano naman po ito pinaghahandaan din ng Tourism Department, lalo't December 8, mangyayari yung direct flight, given na ito rin po yung busy or pinakaabala natin na panahon sa Pilipinas?
We welcome the President's prioritization of pursuing the public-private partnership route in terms of the expansion, rehabilitation, and improvement of our airports. And therefore, we are very optimistic as far as the takeover of our airports here in Manila, as this will increase the number of flights hourly, and it will also increase the passenger capacity of our airports, not to mention improve the entire airport experience. With the takeover of the private sector, which we have seen with very high success in Cebu, we anticipate that this will increase the number of arrivals to Metro Manila, and that can provide more connectivity to our other domestic destinations as well. In our recent sectoral meeting with the President, we also articulated our request before the Department of Transportation to prioritize certain areas that are now undergoing the process of PPP. And this includes the Laguindingan Airport, which is our gateway to northern Mindanao and Cagayan de Oro, the airport in Bohol, which is now also seeing very robust interest, especially from certain markets in Asia. The airport as well in Bicol, which provides connectivity to, of course, the majestic Mount Mayon and many other offerings in the area, and as well as our improvement of airport in Puerto Princesa, home to one of the most beloved islands in the world, Palawan. So overall, our convergence with the Department of Transportation is seeing much success in a sense that the PPP process is very much ongoing. And I understand that the DOTR is also very aggressive in terms of ensuring that our airports see expansion and improvement very soon. We are hopeful as well that the improvement of our seaports will soon be underway, especially that this has also been identified as a priority by the DOTR, and connectivity is one of the priorities of the DOT. We continue with the training of our tourism frontliners, which are no longer just confined to those in our tourism establishments, but also to the peripheral services and frontline services, including our personnel in the airport. Thus far, under the Filipino brand of Service Excellence Program, we have already trained over 200,000 Filipino tourism workers to ensure that every guest that comes into our shores are able to experience our world-renowned Filipino hospitality.
Okay, thank you, Secretary.
Yes, please come forward from Radyo Natin, Radyo Pilipinas.
Secretary, magandang umaga po. Michael Rogas po from Radyo Pilipinas. Balikan ko lamang po yung pagbubukas ng flight from Manila to Paris. Sa ngayon po ba, gaano po karami mga European tourists ang pumapasok sa atin sa Pilipinas? At ilan po yung inaasahan natin maaari makadagdag sa pagbubukas na ito ng direct flight?
As of now, none of the European countries or markets fall within our top 10. Outside, though, of the European Union, the United Kingdom is in our top 8. And therefore, yung layunin natin is mag-increase yung ating arrivals from that side of the world. No, as of today, we have already received over 4.1 million international visitors, and we anticipate that with this direct connectivity to Europe, syempre madadagdagan yung ating mga bisita from those markets. We do have tourism attachés that we've assigned all over the world and who continue to increase demand in terms of global awareness for our destinations. And we have campaigns that are ongoing in Europe as far as promoting the Philippines and to prepare also for the arrivals from Europe.
Sa ngayon po ba, may nakikita na tayo na posibleng mga lugar na maaring puntahan po nito mga European tourists na ito, Secretary?
From our survey of tourists from Europe, we have particular tourism products that are very popular with them, for most of which are our island destinations that offer beach, leisure, and adventure. Of course, very popular are the islands of Cebu, Palawan, as well as Siargao for surfing, and emerging also is Bohol as an eco-tourism destination. We're also very optimistic in terms of the opportunities for dive tourism. And as we know, Batangas offers a very competitive and wonderful marine biodiversity experience, and Palawan is also able to offer that with Tubataha, as does Negros Oriental with their dive tourism, and Cebu, of course, with Moalboal as well as Malapascua. We anticipate also that experiential tourism will really be one of the banner products for Philippine tourism with our European tourists, especially that we are now very much focused on developing our gastronomy tourism portfolio, our health and wellness tourism portfolio, as we are also hosting the International Health and Wellness Congress this year, and to include also our heritage tourism that offers a view into our history in our destinations.
Tama-tama din po dahil by Saturday, sisimulan na rin po ng DOTR yung pong pagbibigay ng kanilang koordinasyon sa San Miguel Corporation bilang operator po natin sa mga terminals po natin dito sa NAIA. Gaano po kalaki ang inaasahan po nating improvement dito at maitutulong po sa ating turista ito po pagsasaayos po ng ating mga airport, especially po dito po sa NAIA, Secretary?
I understand that the private proponent that will be taking over our NAIA terminals has very globally competitive plans for the airport. And so we anticipate a great turnaround in terms of the infrastructure, the experience, the seamlessness, and the introduction of digitalization. We're actually working with them at the moment as we are launching in a few months our transit tours in relation to our Philippine hop-on, hop-off bus tours. So in the airports here in Manila, we will soon have the offering for our transit passengers who have a few hours in the country before they go to their onward destination. And they'll be able to purchase a ticket and go around the offerings of Metro Manila and get to know the country in just a number of hours. In addition to that, we're also working with a private proponent in launching a medical tourism and wellness lounge in our airports that mimics our neighbors who have very popular medical tourism products. So we're all very excited and optimistic by the privatization of our NAIA terminals.
Ma'am, after po ng pandemic, gaano kalakihin na po yung nalikhang trabaho ng turismo sa ating pong bansa?
Sabi po ng Philippine Statistics Authority, as of 2023, yung count nila of the direct employment in the Philippines in terms of tourism is pegged at 6.21 million Filipinos. According to the World Travel and Tourism Council, which considers both the directly employed and indirectly employed in tourism, over 9 million na po yung na-employ ng tourism in 2023. The good news is that throughout this process of counting tourism employment, we have engaged NEDA as well as the PSA and advocated with them that we need to be able to expand our count of tourism employment, not only to those that are directly employed, but also those that are employed in the entire tourism value chain. Kasi ang dami pong nagkakaroon ng trabaho dahil sa turismo, not necessarily by way of a formal contractual agreement with hotels and accommodations, pero kasali na rin doon yung ating mga transport operators, pasalubong makers, suppliers ng mga goods sa ating mga accommodation establishments. And so that conversation with NEDA and the PSA has led them to insert an expanded question in the first quarter labor force survey for 2024. And according to them, as far as tourism is concerned, over 16 million Filipinos are now employed by tourism in 2024. So 16 million.
15 million, 1.5.
16.
1.6. Yes. We can provide you with a copy of the results of the labor force survey for the first quarter.
Ma'am, ano po yung mga lugar? Baka meron lang tayong idea kung ano yung mga lugar na mas dumami yung trabaho ngayon in terms of tourism.
Yes. Actually, the count is nationwide. No? And the comparison in terms of the increase in tourism numbers is also broken down per region. So, mabibigay po namin sa inyo yung datos na iyon. And basing on our tourism performance per destination, yung nakikita natin na top contributors in terms of arrivals, receipts, and employment, first, yung NCR because they have the airport that leads to our destinations in this area and across the Philippines. Second, yung Cebu, that is followed by Batangas and Rizal area. And of course, we have Aklan, home to the world famous Boracay. I was just there yesterday. It's beautiful. And several other places in the country.
Ma'am, last question na lamang po. Ano po yung top 10 countries natin in terms of tourist arrivals po natin? At sino-sino po sila?
South Korea continues to be our number one international market. They have already contributed over 1.1 million rather to our international arrivals as of today. That is followed by the United States and also Japan. And we have China, Australia, Taiwan, Canada, the UK, Singapore, and Malaysia.
Okay. Thank you so much,
Thank
Secretary.
you very much. Maybe just one more question, if there's still a question from the members of the media. Oh, mayroon pa pala, dalawa. Dalawa
Good
pa.
morning, ma'am. I have two questions.
Please
Pero
identify.
easy lang. I'm Blue Tenko of City Style Magazine and Sampaguita Pages Online. Recently, China's always portrayed us as the villain in the West Philippine Sea collision. How does our image, has it been affected with the inflow of Chinese tourists here? That's one. And then second, speaking of Sulu, as you said earlier, they are not a member of BARM, right? So is that an advantage or disadvantage for Philippine tourism? And another one is just a comment about the Air France. Many years ago, Air France and Alitalia was serving our airlines, and it was also a venue for our OFWs because it's easier for them to come home direct. So they are encouraged to come home and be with their families and also go around the Philippines. I have a group of friends who lives either in Italy or France, and this is a very good step to have an airline that in Europe that is direct flight here to Manila. So going back to my first question, has China, the bad image that China always portrays us as the villain in the West Philippine Sea collision, has it affected the inflow of tourists, Chinese influx here? And how do we strategize in a way to, how do we correct this?
Okay. All right. Thank you, Secretary.
Very interesting questions. First of all, tourism transcends politics, varying opinions, differences in culture, differences in geopolitical positions. And the work that the Department of Tourism has done has been to continue to champion Philippine tourism all over the world, wherever that may be. We have not stopped in terms of promoting the Philippines as a top-of-mind tourism destination. And I personally am of the opinion that no outward portrayal can ever change the beauty of our country that is immediately felt by anyone that comes upon our shores, no matter the citizenship. We are one of only 17 mega-biodiverse countries in the world, an archipelago of 7,641 islands, over 100 ethno-linguistic groups, with a number of provinces, cities, and municipalities that are able to offer a diverse tourism experience and who welcomes anyone with open arms and treats them as family. No geopolitical situation has changed the image of the Philippines in terms of it being a destination to love. In terms of the numbers from China, what we are seeing is that the recovery of the Chinese market comparative to 2019 is definitely not at the level that it should be. But nevertheless, we are working with the Department of Foreign Affairs in terms of our continuous lobbying for the liberalization of visa processes for countries that require visas to begin with, not just China. And we are also leveraging the opportunities that have opened up in light of these challenges. India, for one, is one of the biggest outbound markets in the world. And we're now looking at India in terms of expanding connectivity, increasing arrivals, as well as liberalizing visa policies with them in order that we may be able to make up for the losses that have accrued in terms of tourism arrivals from China. Now, in terms of Sulu, I have been there to Sulu, and it's really quite a beautiful destination that has massive potential for both international and domestic tourism. We are well aware of the decision that has been made by the Supreme Court, and the position of the Department of Tourism is that whether Sulu is a part of BARM or not, the DOT is helping all regions. In fact, I was there before the decision of the court, and I will be there next week to break ground on a tourist rest area for Sulu. We are also working with them in terms of training tourism frontliners. And this effort is the same as far as Tawi-Tawi, Isabela de Basilan, which won first place in our Tourism Champions Challenge, where we grant financial incentive to the LGU that presents tourism proposals. We've also worked with other areas in BARM, and in fact are working very closely with the Ministry of Trade and Tourism. I was just with the minister yesterday, so that the Department of Tourism is able to standardize accreditation for accommodations, standardized trainings for tourism hospitality and services, and is able to include them in the fore of tourism development for the country.
Thank you very much,
Thank
ma'am.
you. One last question. Yes. Huh? Oh, okay. Can you, in the interest of time, can you limit your question to just one? Yes.
Okay, good morning, Secretary and Sir Joey. Ma'am, I'm Romil Corpus of WhatsApp Pilipinas, Cartero News, and ako yung turistang gala. Question ko lang po, anyway, congratulations sa mga achievements ninyo. Ano pong malaking ambag ng gobyerno para ma-achieve natin yung mga accomplishment ninyo as Tourism Secretary?
Unang-una po, salamat sa pag-patronize ng ating local tourism. Napakalaki ng ambag ng ating mga kababayan sa ating domestic tourism performance. Kaya number 1 tayo sa Southeast Asia in terms of domestic tourism. Yung layunin po ng ating presidente ay maramdaman ng ating mga kababayan sa lahat ng sulok ng Pilipinas yung interventions ng national government in terms of tourism development. Kaya naman po nakikipag-ugnayan tayo sa ating mga LGUs, our mayors, our governors, our district representatives para matulungan natin sila sa kanilang mga local tourism development plans. Kasali na po dyan yung funding ng infrastructure, especially in terms of tourism roads. Naka-concrete and rehabilitate na po tayo ng 531 kilometers of roads with 16 billion pesos devoted to tourism road infrastructure in 2024. And we're lobbying for more budget for 2025 as far as roads are concerned. Yung airport and seaport developments natin continues, pati na rin po yung ating route development para mas dumami pa yung ating international flights coming in and our domestic tourism flights, no? So nakikita natin na nag 99% recovery na tayo in terms of international flights. recovery, and nag 94% na tayo in terms of domestic connectivity. So the routes development team of the DOT continues to work with the DOTR. Yung digitalization ay isa sa pinakamahalaga na component ng tourism development. Kaya naman, nakipag-ugnayan tayo sa DICT. Nag-power up na tayo ng 47 out of 94 tourism destinations in terms of increased connectivity. We've launched the Enhanced Travel Philippines mobile application at naka-launch na rin tayo ng the very first tourist assistance call center. 151 Tour. Pwede nyo pong tawagin kung meron tayong tanong in terms of our destinations, request for assistance, etc. We're also focusing on tourist safety. Kaya naka-train na tayo ng over 8,000 tourist police. Nagtitrain din tayo ng mga barangay tanods, barangay intelligence network para may police auxiliary forces tayo sa ating destinations. And yung isa sa ating pinaka-importante din na ginagawa ngayon is to construct tourist first aid facilities sa ating mga densely populated tourism destinations. This is a collaboration with the DOH and TIEZA. There are several other initiatives that we are that are underway, all towards servicing the vision of our president of becoming Asia's next tourism powerhouse and to become a globally competitive and sustainable tourism destination.
Okay, Mama, follow-up lang. Kahapon nagsimula na yung Singkaban Festival sa lalawigan ng Bulacan. Nakapasyal na po ba kayo?
Nakapunta na ako sa Bulacan dahil gumawa po kami ng I've traveled across that region already because gumawa kami ng Philippine Experience, Heritage, Culture, and Arts Caravan. I've not been to this specific festival, but I would be very happy to visit and participate. So yung Philippine Experience programs natin ay isang caravan that we are taking all over the country. Nagawa na po natin ito in 9 regions, covering 22 provinces so far. And there are several other caravans that will happen this and next year para makover po natin yung buong Pilipinas. Yung intention nito, unang-una, ay ini-introduce natin yung ating mga national and regional tourism stakeholders, travel agents, tour operators, etc. sa ating mga local na mga tour operators and travel agents para jointly makagawa sila ng tourism packages that are sellable and commercial na mabenta natin sa ating mga international and domestic tourists. And in the recent Philippine Travel Mart, meron na tayong mga tourism packages under the Philippine Experience Program.
Maraming salamat po.
All right. Can we just have this last question?
Okay po, okay, di ko abot. Oh my gosh. Good morning po, Sec. So, ang question ko about the budget of DOT. So, Sec, may we ask what is the total proposed budget of Department of Tourism and how this will help to further achieve yung NTDP for 2023 to 2028? And also, do you believe po yung Manila-Paris flight will further help the yung NTDP to achieve yung goal? Yun po. Thanks, Sec.
The budget season is underway, and we have already presented and defended our budget before the Appropriations Committee. We have proposed a little over 3 billion pesos as defined by the Department of Budget and Management under the National Expenditure Plan. Although we are hopeful that with the very positive response from our representatives in terms of approving our proposal and lobbying for more budget for the DOT, that we would be able to see an increase in our budget for 2025 rather, comparative to 2024. We're also currently lobbying not only for the increase in budget for the DOT, but also for the increase in budget for the Tourism Roads Infrastructure Program, our convergence with the DPWH. It really is a matter of ensuring that we invest rightly in the assets of the country. Tourism is one of the strongest pillars of our economy and contributes greatly to tourism employment and to our GDP. And comparative to our ASEAN neighbors, we're hopeful that with the appropriate amount of funds, we would be able to be competitive with our ASEAN neighbors because comparative analysis of the budgets of the ASEAN countries in terms of tourism really pegs the Philippines quite low. So we're hopeful that our representatives will support the Department of Tourism in terms of increasing our budget, and we hope for the same support from the Senate.
Okay, maraming salamat sa inyo. Maraming pang gusto magtanong, but
Last na lang.
last na lang, sige.
Good morning, Secretary. Way back 2012 po, kami po yung umpisa nung Puerto Princesa Underground River with late Mayor Hagedorn. Ang akin lang po ngayon is after pandemic po, ano po, any updates?
Patuloy po yung popularity ng ating underground river in Palawan, and the island itself continues to gain global recognition. Our focus is to ensure the sustainable tourism development of Palawan, and we're presently working with our local government units there that ensure that that we are headed in the right direction. So we're working with the government of Puerto Princesa, especially as I understand that they want to position the city as a MICE destination. We're also working with El Nido and Coron in terms of articulating the necessity of improving their sewerage treatment and water treatment facilities. And we have also already inaugurated a tourist rest area in Rojas, Palawan, and we have another one underway at Brooks Point in Palawan. We also see that the potential of Palawan lies not only in its northern destinations, but also in southern Palawan. And so we visited Quezon in Palawan, which is home to the Tabon Caves, and also a newly minted National Museum. So we're pushing for equity and tourism development for the province, and we're working closely with our local government units there in order that Palawan can continue to be the beloved destination that it is. Importantly, we see that connectivity to Palawan is critical. So we're working with the DOTR in terms of articulating our request for the expansion of the airport and also our routes development team for added flights, international flights to the destination.
Thank you so much.
Maraming salamat kay Secretary Frasco. Palakpakan po natin ang ating panawin sa Kapihan sa Manila Hotel ngayong araw na ito. Sana huwag kayong magsawa na pumunta dito pagka meron kayong, lalo na meron kayong mga anunsyo o mga announcement or mga bagay-bagay na gusto nyong iparating sa buong bayan at sa buong mundo. Once again, congratulations Secretary Frasco for a good job done for our country through your leadership at the Department of Tourism. Meron naman po kaming paalala sa inyo. Token lang.
Exchanging gifts tayo.